Hey guys, quick disclaimer. I just found out in the editing phase that I kind of left some subtle background music on during the critique. Wasn't aware of it until actually like halfway through, and I toned it. I toned it like way down. But it can get a little annoying in the beginning. My apologies. It's a little unprofessional, but yeah, bear with me on this. All right, everybody. I'm Tyler Edlin, and I'm back
Hello.
with Adam Duff here. We're doing another Brushsoft's Theater Challenge critique, and I'd like to first apologize for the slow uploads on the regular YouTube stuff. I needed a bit of a break. Life happens, but yeah, we're still on schedule for this, and Adam and I are more than happy enough here to be critiquing this challenge, which is a redesign of Beauty and the Beast.
And we got some seriously hot submissions this time, man. I mean, we were drooling over these the whole time we were looking at.
Yeah, we're gonna go through. If you need to find yours, like if you want to skip ahead or whatever, but we're gonna go through top to bottom, left to right.
Isaac.
All right,
yeah,
so Isaac, you did. This is awesome. I don't recognize the name, so I apologize if you've entered one of these before. But if this is your first one, welcome to the group and the challenge.
Yeah,
and I think this is awesome.
Thank you for the beautiful effort, man. This is really beautiful. Look at this.
Like this is gorgeous.
All right. So, any feedback?
Okay, well, the things that I'm looking for with this illustration, Adam, is I think it works good and small. I think it's very consistent in regards to the quality. I think the face, in terms of contrast, is sticking out like a little too much. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's like almost too light.
Yeah.
Compared to
Zoom away.
else.
See how it reads at a distance, because it might, depending on how it reads at a distance. It's okay. I mean, she's small though, right?
It's not the worst. It's not the worst problem, but I like a little softer in tone. I think could work a little bit better.
You know what I'm feeling too? Tell me what you think of this. Compositionally, a lot of it is shoved a little bit too much over to the left of the page, at least with the orientation we've got right now. If we were to move it over a little bit, it would allow us to kind of zoom in a bit closer, because we're cutting off a bit of the beast's butt on the left side.
Yeah, I think this would be like a standard, like if you expand your canvas by about this much, and then you were to take your image like from here to here and just fill in this, with illustration, I think it'll look a lot more balanced, as Adam said.
We're kind of pushing everything over to the left a bit too much here. And that, you could maybe even take in a little in off the right, which will allow us to center our characters a little bit more there.
It auto-generated some beast ass. If we get him in there, like that, I think this would be composed, pretty well.
Look at that. I think it creates a little bit more negative space around the beast that gives it.
You get like maybe like a little more contrast in some of these materials, like with this one anyway. See, it gives it a little bit nice of that hold. Maybe get some subtle soft mist coming around. Like, just to obscure some of the... Sorry that the water heater just turned on. Just to obscure some of these shadows. I like the style that you're going for, but they're just on that line where if they were pushed any further, I think the shadows would be too flat and lifeless. But you could cover some of these darker areas with like some nice tone, and some like mist. If handled delicately, just don't abuse the airbrush, kind of like what I'm doing here. But if you handle it subtly and get some of that atmosphere in there, I think that could be a cool, nice eerie.
That is a nice touch, actually. I like that color too. It complements the piece.
Yeah, just like see, it's got a little bit of blue, a little bit of green in it, and you can use that technique to essentially like liven up your the shadow areas. Just pull it around where it needs to. Look up some misty pictures, but yeah, aside from that though, overall, like, it's very good. I think getting some specular highlights on some of these more metallic objects would definitely help. It's missing them, but overall, fantastic.
What would work nicely too here is we got such a very low-key painting here. If you have a little bit of that warm tone in her face, maybe a little bit of subsurface scattering inside the beast's mouth to kind of catch between his teeth. Help pull your attention up to
some
like
nice
bright
sharp
red or something inside the mouth
there.
could help pull your attention up to his face. That could be nice too, without overvaluing.
Woody.
All right. Who do we got?
Woody is up next.
Woody.
This is Woody. He joins the Brush Sauce Hangout every Monday with me, so I've seen some of this work up. You guys should join and come hang out with us. It's awesome. Well, a whole lot of drinking and nonsense usually.
I can do that. All right.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So I like your process. I like your reference, Wood. I remember seeing a lot of these sketches.
Very good use of reference. Yeah, absolutely.
Just isolate. Let me just for the sake of the critique, so I don't get distracted. Now I just want to isolate the image. What are you thinking first for this, Adam? Since this is your first
gut reaction. My instinctive reaction was the green saturation. You really overkills a little bit. It's
the saturation in general is a bit intense.
Yeah, the orange, the bright orange, bright purple, bright, especially that teal overlay that you kind of got over everything, really kind of washes over. That's the first, and the second thing I would say is the proportions of the female character. You got to watch out for that because she's got a big head and little tiny arms, right? So,
yeah, almost kind of like a
but they're not
character.
Consistent. If you look at her left and her right arm, they're two different sizes, right? Her right arm is a little bit. Her left arm, not our left, but her left is a little bit bigger. The other one on the right is a little bit smaller. So always make sure to judge, proportions. Make sure they're consistent. Those are the two major things I'd say here for sure.
Yeah, this area feels overall way too green. Sana, you could remedy that a bunch of different ways. Just starting to like remove it in places and get probably some more magenta and blues in there as well. But I want to see what this looks like just from a value standpoint.
Yeah.
Very shadow heavy, and as a result, it almost gets noisy because when we look at it this way, and particularly from really far away, if you're looking at the areas of contrast, there are a lot of them. So you have one here, there's some here. You see this, you see this, you see this. You see like there's too many pops of it, and I would try to isolate that. And simplify things,
right? So you want to have that contrast where you want people to look at first, because that's it's going to serve to pull your audience's eye where you want them to look first.
So like I would take a lot of this stuff like back here, and we'll just do one of these examples, but just toning things down and basically pushing them, pushing it back into the background. See, like that. It takes the information out. It still keeps it pretty dark, but it removes that contrast, and so it starts to compete a lot less with that. And you can make it, of course, subtle and just work on a very soft transition. But I think for you, Woody, the best exercise that you could do to really work on the rendering and stuff is to practice doing movie stills, master paintings, and like virtual plein air stuff. A lot of life drawing, or do secondly material studies. I have videos on all those things on the YouTube. I think material studies would definitely work wonders for you. Pardon me.
I would add too, just to throw it in, I'd probably reference these guys. I'm going to plug two artists that have really good YouTube channels as well. Noah Bradley has a very popular video on master studies where he talks, the first portion of it, he talks about value studies, where he just breaks everything into 3 values to create a good read. And the other one I would recommend, who's actually just put up several really good 10-minute videos recently, is Marco Bucci at BUCCI. You can go check those guys out on YouTube. They've got really good videos on value studies and how to organize all that kind of stuff. So definitely worth checking out. And they're not plugs, by the way.
I'll get the yeah, there's always a comment. He looks. Marco
I'm a Marco Bucci fanboy, no doubt about it. I'm not ashamed to say it. Yeah.
Digital brushwork. Yeah, I have to catch up on his videos. Yeah, but look up him. He does great stuff. All right, Benjamin Wiseman.
Really like what I'm seeing here. Like there's some real.
Let's take the journey. Starting the timer.
Okay.
Post-apocalyptic version. Nice. I see some Aaron Blaze. That guy promotes his stuff everywhere. I see his ads come up all the time. One sec. Oh, that's not too big. Resolution weird. I don't. Okay, trying to execute. So it looks like his face is covered, right?
Pose is concerned.
He's holding his.
Yeah, it's kind of. I like the rendering is beautiful. I'm just. Yeah, I'm having a hard time reading what I'm looking at.
Yeah, this has got some style to it that I like, for sure. But a lot of the information, like in here, it gets hard to tell what's what. Particularly if I were to look this like up in a Google search or a thumbnail view on like ArtStation, it'd be about this size, and it gets very hard to understand what
what's
happens
up in the
in
green
some of these
sketch
areas.
Right in the middle of the all those studies on the top. What's actually happening with that pose?
I think he's
wounded.
wounded.
Okay, his head, he's leaning his head down.
And
the cloak covering. Okay,
yeah, and he's
because that's not clear. Yeah, that's definitely where the head is very unclear. It looks like an arm sticking out of an abstract shape.
So yeah, you would adjust something here so we can see more of that face.
Really?
And it looks like he fought a bunch of junkers.
Yeah, there's a pile.
And now we have like the character looking up to help him, which this is reading. This is good. But maybe even finding a way to simplify a lot.
You know what I strongly recommend as far as composition is concerned is, especially for the way you've structured this piece, is to look at Frazetta's work, and which that Frazetta will always create he'll kind of have a sculpture, right? It'll be kind of like this, like a sculpture where you should be able to read all of the action in the silhouette. So anything of importance in terms of the actual composition itself should be readable from the silhouette. You don't want to do something like that because you won't be able to read that. This you can, see? So just pay attention.
Yeah, he can take like a mess of like bodies
like
or
the Conan
things
there.
like this. Yeah, and he can keep it pretty simple in regards to some of that information. He also does that really good. This is, I think, what you were referring to, Adam. It was like having the shadows of like the shadow shapes all kind of interconnected, making up one part of the whole. You know, whereas the highlights.
Everything of important. If you scroll up to the top and you look at the second one to the left, scroll up to this right, all the way up. Scroll all the way up to the top. No, but scroll up, and you'll see the third one from the left, the one where there's the blue sky and the guy stabbed. There's a woman hugging the guy's leg. Second row, like the top row has all the that one there. Click on that.
Oh, this.
Look at the knife, the part of his headdress. The scythe that the ape creature on the left, the woman's curves, those are all important narrative pieces. Those are important narrative elements in his composition, and those are all the things he makes sure to have sitting on the silhouette. Everything else is very decorative. Right?
Yeah, and these are all cool in tone, and the characters are all warm in tone. So he's using contrast and color temperature to separate the complexity of the scene. And that could help a lot in here, because a lot of this, all very similar contrast and value structure and color temperature. So start switching up some of those parameters and you'll get all this to read. Otherwise, you're really good at rendering, and I think overall the composition, minus that one problem, works really well.
The rendering, dude, is top notch. I mean, that really stands out in terms of its quality. No doubt about it. Really nice. And I'm a huge Beauty and the Beast fan, by the way, just so you know. I grew up off of that shit, so. It's just,
He grew up off this. He grew up off this deal. Hey, Anton, how you doing? This is coming out.
Yeah. Look at this. Nice. Look at this for a nice read. This reads very nicely. I'd say the thing is over towards the right side of the beast's face, he gets lost into the background a little bit. You want to create a little bit more of a pop, especially for a fantasy illustration like this. If it was a bit more fine artsy, I would say you can be a little bit more playful. But for fantasy illustration, you want the silhouette to pop. Create a little bit of light on dark, dark on light type of thing. Yeah.
Aside from that, do you want to address some of the anatomy anomalies in this? I'm seeing some,
especially
so I
the
see
shoulder
some.
and arm and the chest area of the beast. There's
Yeah,
muscles.
the beast is very
Yeah, like you
problematic in
threw in
here.
muscles there that don't actually, like as far as the deltoids in the chest, you've got a muscle goes underneath the pectoral that doesn't really exist, that kind of stuff. But I would just look up a picture of anatomy, or look up and actually study some anatomy to know exactly what muscles are where and where they insert and all that kind of stuff. That'll definitely help for sure. Um,
Mm-hmm.
what else? Yeah, as far as the face of the woman's it's a bit unfinished. She needs hair probably, I'm imagining, unless she's a mannequin. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that is worth noting. I didn't notice that at first, but maybe that's what it was. Like the contrast, like right here to here, is also very very strong. And yeah, you'd see it. It'd be a lot softer, I think, and you'd see that light where, as in this, it feels a little overexposed on this side. This is the side that it's in direct light of this, but yet it has that softness that this side needs, which would actually be more in shadow. Same with something like this white garb on her here. Like this is the way this is lit in terms of how you rendered it is almost like there's an invisible white light, like right here. If that makes sense. Like, see what I mean? And then it's like illuminating this and this, and then some of this, whereas this wouldn't kind of create a light source like that. And then like this would create different shadows, and from in here, and then this would just be a bit softer in general. Whereas again, you have the back side of this hand completely lit, like there's a light right here, just illuminating that hand, and since it's not affecting anything else, it looks very strange.
Yeah, the other thing is reference faces all the time, because it's not enough just to have the proportions of the face look like the proportions of a face. You want your character to have a look, right? And everybody has a unique, different appearance to them. So reference faces so that you can give your character an actual appearance that makes them unique, that makes them feel more human, right? That's important. I notice a lot of people try to do faces from their heads too much. It's always important to reference that stuff.
And I mean, I'm sure you referenced the drapery on this, but you go back and you'd want to fine tune that as well. I'm not sold on the fabric. Same with the beast. Like this, just redo if you're looking to make this like a portfolio image. Just redo like this whole portion, because like anatomically it's here is the issue. Then up here it's just completely flat, and you're losing a lot of form. So maybe a little more time spent on the drawing phase to like really break down the armature of these characters would really help you out.
Yeah, definitely.
And there's also whatever you want to reference, whether it's works like Frazetta or it's there's blogs out there. We were talking in the hangout this week. They have good I can't find my other web browser. I hope it didn't close. Oh, there's other sites like Evan E. Richards here where he just posts like cinematic quality like movie stills. If you need cinematic lighting references, it's a great place to check out.
I don't know what that is.
But I do think they're just, it's not like a bad first pass, but a lot more attention needs to be paid to some of these more subtle aspects of it.
Freaking brilliant,
This is cool though. You're really good at drafting this out, and this holds up as a really cool idea. And as
and the way you've kind of given the old steampunk Dorothy type of look to Belle with her suspenders. Well, beautiful.
I love this. This is a great interpretation of
I want to play this game, man. I want to see this film. I want to play it. This really, really grabs me. And I love your use. Your color balances, your color harmonies are beautiful. Nice rusty colors with the blue sky.
Yeah, I like that. I would do some subtle tweaks here and there, like around where the form changes, to make sure that that's a little bit more obvious. So like for instance here, like maybe just exaggerating the blue or the pinks on one side versus the other. So like in this case, right, if I take that and just slightly accentuate that with some Oh, I'm on the wrong brush mode. Yeah, just some kind of subtle tweak to that. You know, to show that this is where that form is changing here. I think that would be good. Or, you know, given your style, if you even go down and just accent the edge, you know, that wouldn't look bad either. If I do like, you know, screen and pick this as like a blue, and you just go down and you kind of like, you know, highlight that edge a bit. Disney does that a lot. And then knock this back, you know, into more purples and greens, for example. You can get that roof to really read.
Look at that. That's nice. The other thing I do too is, you know how, Tyler, with the other piece, how you had brought in a little bit of mist to add depth and nuance?
Yeah, to soften some of these shapes, you know, back there would definitely help. You could see that even in the original right here. And you could do that, you know, within, you know, draw your line. Like, okay, it's going to be like, right, everything beyond here, you know, you'll have it kind of as so. And then just, this is probably as simple as bringing your atmosphere in with an airbrush. You know, like so, just to soften things up just a bit. And it will make everything in the, you know, everything in the foreground.
Yeah, that greenhouse. It'll have that greenhouse pop too. Yeah, absolutely.
So like taking all of this stuff back here.
There you go. Yeah.
So if I just copy and paste this to show, edit. Oh, come on, please. Now I go to levels, and then I just add a little bit of blue into all of that.
Yeah, nice.
And then remove a little bit of that contrast. You know, like, it subtly pushes things back and cools them off in temperature. It's something I'd consider as well. You just gotta erase the line and get them to be a bit smoother. But yeah, I think overall though, this is great. I love this a lot. Nice rendering. And depending on how clean you want to go, yeah, it could always use more polish, just saying. But yeah, this is at least off in a very solid direction.
I'm really digging this a lot. Who's the artist though? Did we mention that at the beginning?
I tried to name it. It says PJ Sirac.
Peter James. Genesis Fandrake. Damn.
That's a cool name.
Oh, that's your name. I was like, what? Shit. I get Adam Duff. I mean, can you get any more plain Genesis Vandrake? Holy shit, man. I'd say fail this fucker just for having a cool name. Just out of pure jealousy, you know? Just like, you get an F just because I don't like your name. Yeah, no, that's awesome, man.
All right, this is a simple enough idea. I see what you're going for here. I don't know if I'm sold by this design, this vignette design with the roses. I'm just not sure it's necessary.
It definitely falls into more of a kind of Hallmark card type of romantic feeling to it, which can, by many people's standards, depending on who your audience is, can be interpreted as being very cheesy, right? It's kind of like our family on a photograph type of thing on a Hallmark card. It's a little bit on the cheesy side. But that depends. Maybe that's the kind of look you were going for.
If you're going for it,
and I'd say definitely, Tyler. I'm thinking the saturation beast got a little bit at it.
Beast of the set. Yeah, you have very sharp blues, very sharp yellows, very sharp greens, very vivid colors. Maybe you want to scale those back a bit and add a subtle like undertone to things as well.
Yeah.
You know, and that's an easy fix. It really is just, you know, going desaturation and then like going into levels even, and you know, if you wanted to add a little bit of magenta to something or a little bit of a greenish overtone to everything, you know, it'll harmonize your image, you know, a lot better. Like if you select all the shadows and then you go into color balance and then just, you know, this is the really lazy way to do it. I wouldn't do it this way, but you're adding certain colors just into the shadows. You can start to make a more sophisticated palette with your color. Aside from that, let's talk about the design on things. Aside from the roses, I'm unsure about some of the designs or some of that theme you're going for. I mean, it seems like you're going for a higher fantasy version of Beauty and the Beast based off the Beast's armor and stuff. But then this is where I get confused because it looks like this looks like Wilma from the Flintstones. Like she looks kind of like a cave woman.
Bit of a distance.
So then I'm like, okay, how is her as a cave woman working with Beast in armor? That's where my disconnect is.
Yeah, a bit more. It's got maybe I think the overall overlying theme was more of a warrior type of thing, but you got to be more specific with that, right? So if you're going for warrior, you might want to go for like if it's like Tyler said, more of the Wilma thing, then that's a little bit more tribal. So you'd want that tribalness to translate into the Beast as well. Or if it's more medieval armor, then let that medieval armor translate into her. Give her a bit more of a medieval dress. And try that way you can find a bit more of a consistency in your design in that regard. But there's a bit of a disconnect visually between the design choices you've made there. So remember, design is always very specific, right?
Yeah. Lastly, because we got to move on. Watch the structure, and I'd focus more on the drawing. If you were to break down the planar surfaces here of the face, it is extremely flat. In terms of the structure, there's you could see it in the actual Beast here, and some of the there's like nose and like you rendered that, but over like a flat surface. Like if at this angle, the nose would probably be like more out to here, and you'd see more of that come in. Figure out the contour, of these characters in terms of the structure a little bit more first. And that would be down, so on and so forth. But it's not a bad interpretation at all. But I spend a little more time on the drawing. I'm also getting, I don't know, the way she's looking at me with like a go fuck off face, and he's just looking sad about it all. I don't know, weird feelings from all of that. I just don't know how I'm supposed to feel looking at that, and I think that's part. Well,
there's a little bit of lack of clarity. Like you used a very dark line around the eyes, especially on her. She's got a very dark line around the eyes, so it's actually unclear which way her eyes are facing, right? She's actually looking very much off to the side, it seems. If you zoom in closer, I guess. She's looking off. She's kind of looking at somebody through the side, which from a body language perspective is a little bit more of like, ew. Especially with her hand up. She's kind of got a bit of that jappy, like, ew, not too close, okay? Like you smell like dog food, okay? Like she's kind of got that. And the other thing I would mention, just as far as her design is concerned, is definitely like I mentioned before, look up pictures of references of faces so you can draw something more specific. You'll have more believable detail. And the hair. Notice her hair feels a bit wiggy, right? And the reason for this is because there's a transition between skin and hair. There's an actual smooth gradient transition. Unless hair is overlapping, which would happen more around the sides, then on the top you should get more of a smooth transition between skin and hair. If you get that sudden cutoff, it looks like she's wearing a wig on her head. That's why wigs look like wigs, because they don't have that transition. So just be careful with that. Look at his hair.
This guy's got a closet full of wigs. That's how he knows this.
What's up? I don't know.
Right? We know the deal.
I do, I'm going to be on RuPaul's show soon. Watch. I'm going to be on Drag Race.
Let's check this sucker out.
Tim
Sargison. How you doing, Tim?
Yeah.
Good references here. This is a cool take, like a classical.
Yeah.
A classical approach.
Now, the other one we had a lot of
Belle is in her skivvies.
In some of the earlier paintings we had a bit over dark, and this one it's a little overexposed, it's a little over light. We're not losing shadow, we're losing
your
light
lights are blown out.
Yeah. So you see all these lights are very.
There may be one spot in a painting, like in this one of Bouguereau's, that it's just one spot like that. When you have the water like so, the sky like so, the water over here like so, and then the character. It sets a lot of things.
But you know what? I even think that the photograph that we're using as reference here is probably overexposed. If you look at
this one is. This is not nearly as soft as I think a better reproduction or a better an online version of that. So you got to be careful what you grab.
Bouguereau.
How do you spell that name? I'm not going to get that.
G-E-A Bouguereau. Bougereau. Bougereau.
I'm sure we'll get it. It'll turn up.
There you go.
That painting will turn up. But yeah, you could at least, even if you compare that image to his other ones, you could see the softness.
He doesn't overexpose, right? He's also painting from light.
Yeah,
he's painting from reference directly, so he's not gonna. Photographs have a tendency to over or underexpose things. If you copy that mistake, then you translate that overexposure into your own painting.
I can't believe that image didn't come up. They do a certain amount of. I'm not gonna spend all day looking.
That particular piece, yeah.
Yeah, I was looking. I mean, because I've seen it. It turns up all the time. It's a matter of. Yeah, but yeah, let's say for like that sunny type of feel, or what you're going for with the
like any
light.
nude. Like if you look at any exterior nude piece, which he's got a lot of those, right? Then you'll see that the skin. You can always find color even in the lit areas. You should never find pure white anywhere.
Which if you if you color drop some of the thing, it gets a little too close to
that's right up
a little
in the
too
corner,
close to
right.
that.
Yeah. The other thing is, I would say, like stepping away from the whole exposure thing, I would talk about if you're looking. One of the basic rules: if you have a cartoony drawing, i.e., meaning very simplified with very basic shapes, you can get away with a little bit more saturation because it's compensating, right? Whereas if you're doing something in your case that's got a lot more of a realistic approach to it, if you oversaturate or flatten your colors, if you have single uniform colors that cover over an entire surface, it's going to make it look flat and
it makes it look animated.
Color variety is one of the important elements of creating believable color. Subtlety and variety. If you have a flat, saturated color, you're applying cartoon color to a realistic painting, and they're going to contradict themselves. They're going to contradict each other. So you got to be careful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult trick to pull off, and it always will, of course, depend upon what you're going for. But you're absolutely right, Adam. And there's a lot of sophistication brought to the palettes on these, where these are built up over many layers, and they have a lot of colors that are layered and glazed upon each other to build up a very strong subtlety with these traditional paintings. And you can look at that. Within here, there's a lot of colors in the shadow. This painting is exposed for the shadows, and then that way when he has a pure highlight, he overexposes those by design because he has all his depth and his varieties within his shadows. This looks like it's not exposed for one thing or the other, and you'd want to be a little bit more committed on that. And this looks like it would be one of these paintings, as a lot of these classical ones are, that are exposed for the shadows, where you have really deep, rich colors, a lot of information in those shadows, and you just don't put any detail into your highlights.
Yeah, if you look at Belle, she's got pretty much the same skin tone throughout, which wouldn't be the case.
Very, very even skin tone. There's no bounce light kind of happening in the color. There's no environment fill light coming in for the. There's a lot of subtleties to approach, and of course, doing lots and lots of these master studies from him and making a lot of mental notes and asking yourself, why is this artist doing these things? As you're doing it, you'll improve a lot doing that. All right, Untitled 1.
Very interesting. What we got? Untitled. You didn't get a name on this guy.
Nope. You gotta put your name on it, guys. Come on. We learned this the first term of kindergarten and first grade. You gotta put your name on everything.
I'd say as far as lighting and brushwork, the brush texture, and the composition, I love it. I really, really like this. I think the number, again, I'm all about my gut reaction is unfinished, especially in the areas of focus. You don't want the same loose rendering on your main character that you want everywhere else. I would reference Sargent's work for this. He has a very loose approach to his work as well, but you'll always notice his faces. Areas of focus are always going to get a little bit more attention, but everywhere else will be simple, very, very deliberate brush strokes.
Yeah, like if these characters in the table and stuff are in your foreground, you want them to stand out as so. The With that said, this is a very harmonized palette, but it also, like, it crosses that line and becomes muddy a bit too much. You need the cooler temperatures in areas of this to offset that.
Definitely. I just...
and I would definitely get the...
oh, that was awful.
I would get the characters to just pop out from that background. Just
definitely. You see, like, the guys... Remember, people are always going to be very conscious of other people's faces. We're always looking at faces. So you want to always make sure, if you're going to see the face, a character's face, that face has to be really well thought out, a good, engaging expression, well rendered. The face is where you're going to put 90% of your attention because it's where everybody's going to look first. We're going to read the story through the guy's face. We're not going to read it through the barrels in the top left. We're going to read it through the guy's face. So definitely.
Mm-hmm. So, like, I would maybe even offset some of this information in the back by either vignetting some of the corners into darkness, or doing like a subtle, color shift one way or the other. See, like, even like these subtle tweaks now are making these characters start to come into focus a lot more. And then, like, from here, once a lot of the larger issues are resolved, then you can go into here and get that polish, and fix that anatomy and add those details where it really matters. But overall, this is a very nice composition. I love the palette and the sense of this scene. But yeah, it definitely just needs like another good few sessions in polishing it up and refining it.
Very nicely done.
Yeah, great job.
It's got a very Star Wars-y feel to it too, which is cool.
Yeah, it's definitely got its own unique feel, and I like that about it. Beauty and the Beast by Pez Romero. Okay. This is an awesome scene to do.
A lot of nice work put into this. Very nice, clear read. Look at this. You see how... Here's a good example of not having to go too far with color. Most of this image is mostly blue. Even that blue even bleeds into the armor. There's a nice ambient light going on, right?
Yeah, this is very, very nice. The only things
that really we have here, Martin just put that saturation right there where we need to see it. In the cloak, in the statuette, or the character, the female character. Although she does look a bit statuesque. It's
a little too stiff on her end.
I'm guessing she is actually human or humanoid, but it looks like he's hugging a statue or a torch or like a lantern or something. But very well done. And I like the way the snow on the background bleeds into the cloak. Create a nice gradient transition between the ground and him. There isn't a sudden cutoff, which works really nicely. I would say one of the things is the Beast's face. His expression is a very important part of the scene. I would definitely add a little bit of crispness to that facial expression, and knock back a little bit of the cloak, especially where the cloak starts to, like, as we get towards the
down
base,
here.
You want to soften out some of those folds because you're creating a very heavy texture in an area that's not necessarily contributing to the narrative. So you want to pull that attention closer to the face in that respect, for sure.
I'm just doing these subtle tweaks. But yeah, I agree with everything you just said. A little bit more referencing, and particularly with this cloak as it gets down here, will go a long way. This just basically is turning a little bit too much into spaghetti, where the forms are just not defined quite as much as you want. But you fix that. Maybe add a little bit of polish around some of these rocks and stuff. And this is like good to go,
Well, the other thing, just as a little observation here too, if you even think about the scene where the Beast is fighting off the wolves in the actual thing, and he growls, and it's out in the winter, his mouth is going to breathe steam. So if you want to suggest that he's actually screaming, like growling, you want to have the steam shooting out of his mouth, right?
Yeah, and I would do.
I like that reference too. The painting he's got over on the right. I don't know who that is, but it's really nicely done.
Like, you may want to just exaggerate, his beastly neck a little bit more, and, extend that neck and get that head, just surgically, like, pop it out just, like, a little bit more. You gotta exaggerate everything in the beginning, because you just probably just tighten it up in the long run, and then get the breath coming out.
Look at the beautiful work on that armor, too. Really nice.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice. But, yeah, I think it's really good. It's like a little bit of polish here. Like, it's good to have the background be softer, but, I'd get a few, instances of a little bit of a harder edge, here or there within these. But, I really like...
Yeah. You know what you could do for the girl, too? Give her a little bit more flesh tone in the face to distinguish the face, to show she's actually got a human. Because I think the uniform color tones are at,
It washes out to yellow a little bit too much in here.
Nice. All right, what do we got next? Chris H.
Chris H.
Oh, I love the design, man. I like the design, and the structure of this is really nicely done. It's Beast / meets Iron Man. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. Now, what I would do is, the first thing I do is just flip this canvas horizontally, and you're going to notice that there's a bit of a volume perspective. You're going to need to tweak that. In your particular case, I would say, like, always make an effort, Chris, to flip your canvas, because you're going to see that, like, you see, like, the placement of this thing in his chest piece is a little bit too over to the side. You'd want to center that, have the center line of his body a little bit more structured.
Yeah, a little bit in tune here. The other thing is, like, again, I think parts of this, like the face, is really beautiful and soft. Your forms, for the most part, are reading, really nice. But a lot of this is still too soft and I think too suggested for this type of image. Like, you'll need some hard, nice, crisp rendering in here, and of these various materials and parts of the armor and stuff. It really could use that in getting in, highlighting, is this metal? Is it machined? Is it more, a fabricated suit? Because you have a lot of information here. Like, you got all kinds of colors and stuff, but still, like, I'm not sure what's happening in a lot of this. Like, where there's a hose between where there's a... Like, it even looks a little bit more clean way in here. And then, again, some of the information with his head, I think, gets a little too soft and airbrushy. And you want to define those with really clear forms. And then you'll also notice, well, I noticed once I flipped it, the position of the eye feels really off.
You know what I would say, just as an overall kind of observation, is I very much like and respect the confidence of this piece. I like the fact that you're kind of the thought you have in the back of your head is a confident approach. Just minimalistic and knocking in those things, and it does work about 80% of the way. But what's keeping this from being a polished piece is, even if your brushstrokes are very loose and minimalistic, which I have no problem. That's a very kind of a Sargent-y way of going about it. That your placement and your structure is solid. Sargent said it himself. He said if you get the shapes right, and if you get the proportion and the shapes right, it'll work. But if your shapes are off, it doesn't matter how much you polish it up, it's not going to work. So in this particular case, your shapes are a little bit on the sloppy side. So you want to invest your energy there.
Making the shape. And that's what I was doing down here, is making your shapes really solid. So if you have, like, these bluer tones, up here, kind of catching some of that ambient light, have all your forms, moving forward, catch, that same blue light. All down here, through here. See, a lot of this just gets too lost, and I don't know what's what, and I think that's part of the issue I have with it. Whereas, like, some of this stuff in here, again, all suggested, and I can't see what's the top versus what's the side. Kind of like in here. Same thing, I would get, if this is like a piece of armor that's overlapping, and some of it's kind of cutting down, a little bit more clean work in here, I think will go, a long way to kind of just polishing that design. And that will, of course, have to do with the material, giving things, the way you do certain highlights and everything can really help, sell how some of these things are working.
Yeah.
But I like your overall design. Like I get what you were going for, and I really do
Your
like
skill.
that a
Your
lot
skills
about
that.
this.
Yeah.
One of the better designs
Yeah.
for sure that we've seen.
Yeah.
Great job, Chris.
All right. What do we got next here?
A design piece. Mrs. Potts, Luminaire.
By Aribe.
By here we go.
Oh, yeah, cool.
So
I was
like
looking
an
for the name
Oriental
and
theme.
I wasn't even looking at the art. Cool. I like it. I like the redesign. I like the fact that you gave her a more cartoony feel to it. It's definitely this. You know what this makes me think of? A lot of video game design. Like this kind of almost pulls me into a bit of a machinarium feel to it, which is cool. Just in terms of your line quality and your rendering. At least Miss Potts's and
Yeah.
Chip.
Yeah, this is really good because it's very consistent in your idea is very clearly conveyed. The most important things when it comes to the design, aside from the design itself, which I think is very cool. Turning what Luminaire here into like a Chinese or Japanese myth dragon with all these different candle bits.
Yeah. I think contrasty. I think the dragon might be a little bit too contrasty, but more importantly, you don't want to put a gray character on a gray background. By default is going to
tint him or tone him something.
Or the background, or tweak your background so that it creates a little bit more contrast and brings out that silhouette. But the gray on gray we see Miss Potts. She pops out nicely, but we lose the dragon. You put a lot of work into that. It's kind of too bad, right? But I love the fact that you decided to take a dragon candelabra for that. That really shows you're not afraid to just try something out. I respect that. I respect your creativity for that, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think going from there, depending on your rendering style, you could do different things. Because, it looks like there is a lot of rendering involved, but some of these forms, I think, are just getting a little on the flatter side. I would come in here, if this is like a green, I'd come in with like an orangey and yellows and start to use these colors to start to shade in, some of the shadow sides. And you can see in the reference here, it's a very kind of a little bit more specular, and how the material handles. Like the shadow is just a little bit soft. The highlight is more clear and pronounced due to the reflectiveness of that. So I'd come up to here, do a little bit of like blue, and then see what you can not overlay, but like linear dodge will get a nice clean, kind of like highlight. That a little softer than what I'm doing, but you could see it in there. And then it gets like, and then keep that consistent throughout the whole, throughout the whole design, because you're getting some strong bounce light here that's blue that you're not seeing anywhere else on the form. So just be consistent with your lighting, but overall your design is really good and it works.
All right, what do we got next? All right.
I'm looking for a name by
Altweg.
Gear. I can't say it.
You probably people screw up your name probably all the time. It's a tricky one to get on first shot. Ooh, look at this though. Ooh, yeah. I'm seeing the final on the bottom, and I like your values. The sketches are nice too. That beautiful. There's a bit of an anime vibe to it too, which is.
Yeah. I like this. Yeah, I like the lighting plan here. Very cool. Nice drawing.
Wow. Hey, this hit me right in the feels. Look at this. That beast really looks really powerful. Look at that.
Menacing.
And I've always been a big fan. If you see a lot of my pieces, it's like the relationship between woman and beast. To show that juxtaposition of the two, I always thought was Something I've always this really captures that nice contrast of big and powerful and delicate next to each other. Really complement each other nicely.
Uh, I like you have a lot
Yeah.
of your forms expressed in the drawing. I would try to get
Hmm.
some of them back, to at least serve more or less as the the bounce light. So if we have the arm coming down here, whatever, we see part of his paw. Get a little bit of that form in there. At least for me personally, this goes to
Yeah.
pure black, which it is, way too quick, and it flattens it out, even kind of as a noir type of painting. But it seems like you're going for something more
Hmm.
classical anyway, and you'd want more subtlety in that, where you see, like you're doing over here. You're getting that bounce light, turning and approaching that form, so we get a lot
Hmm.
more of that information out of it, even though it's subtle and
Yeah.
non-distracting, kind of like in
Just
here.
so you're not completely losing everything in the shadow, right? There's a lot of information missing. You don't want to just have everything blocked out black because I do appreciate a good lost edge, but not at the expense of knowing what's going on. If you haven't solved anything on the front of the beast, you're falling a bit short, right? Also, I find just the heavy blacks you've got there. I'm not sure which one I like the power of the final, but there's a lot of strength in the one that you've got just above it in the loose sketch.
This sketch is a lot different. Like it shows they're interacting a little bit more. Like there's some, you can see
Yeah,
some compassion coming through the design here, where it seems fairly lost in here, or he just looks like he's
yeah, like
staring
he's suffering and
angrily.
she's consoling him type of.
So there was something, whether it was intentional or not, that translated differently from your sketch, which
Yeah.
I like that better.
You know what you could have done is just on that above, like the above sketch was just to have a kind of take an airbrush and just put a bit of a deeper shadow coming across the front to create a little bit of the depth and have it kind of suggest a bit more of the backlighting from the window without losing that nice silhouette that you've got. And you keep everything, mid key the way you have in the above piece.
And again, you have a lot of
Hmm.
nice information in the
Yeah, we're losing
dress and
a
where the
lot of that.
gown meets the floor. This, it gets completely
Yeah.
lost in here. And I didn't know if this down here was an extension of this being a long dress, or if, I didn't know where one thing started or one thing ends. And I think that's because of how overexposed this side of her is,
Yeah.
and nothing else in this area is getting this lighting treatment. Sorry, Adam. I guess I've had you off. I've had you off the screen. I'm such a rookie.
Don't worry about it. I'm still
Adam's
here. I
back.
haven't gone anywhere. Don't worry about it.
So I'd scale that back.
Yeah, I think probably what I'm thinking too is you might have she might be a little bit on the low side, like her legs look like they're probably a bit on the short side. You extend that down because you're
Yeah,
lining up her feet with his feet, and his foot is a little bit elevated, so the placement of her feet is a little bit off there.
yeah. It feels like
Yeah,
her
she
legs are
should
a
be
little
in
on
front
the
of him.
short
See, like you
side.
can see in the sketch above that it's justified because she's in front. We lose that a little bit. So you'd want,
The other thing too would be to get a reference on how light is treated and reflected on this floor type, particularly if it's like a nice polished wood. You would see that, and you'd see the light coming in, a little bit more. God, my computer is just being just a bit slow today. That's why it's all taking a little bit longer than it ought to. Having that light coming in, but then also how it's treated. You'd see a nice clear color. Well, if it wasn't color, you'd see that color change, and you'd see a certain way that the floor. Oh God, I can't. It's hard for me to draw it tonight because my computer's running slow. But yeah, and then you'll see the same problem with Belle there. That up in the horns, a lot of this side is being illuminated by something that
yeah.
nothing else in the front is. So you want to, tone that back. have it be illuminated. But yeah, it's very nice and different.
Yeah, it's a very
different take on this. I love your sketch
I love
here.
the
I love
emotionality of it too. That's a word, right? Emotionality.
Dude, we can make up words. You designed a new word and it looks great. Okay, Kiko.
Another cool name. All right, what do I got here?
I wish I had a cool name, Adam. Dark and light version. Oh,
Where? Oh, okay. Two different exposures.
See, there's
I
a
guess?
dark.
Yeah. Okay. Is that the beauty? She's in a kind of a suit or something. Okay.
A space suit, and the beast is like a mech on
Can I
it.
see the face close, like the illustration close up? Because I'm kind of hard. I see a monkey face.
Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I was
That
just
chin piece made it look like she has a monkey face from a distance. I didn't see that there was a chin piece. Okay, cool. Okay.
I like what this is going on. I like what's happening here. This is, I mean, I like the idea of a darker version, but a lot of it gets just too dark, and you don't see any sense of that volumetric lighting kind of coming in or softening up.
The one on top definitely works better. You've got that nice ambient depth going on there for sure.
You can even try combining them to a degree. Getting a hybrid, because they each have good things, and the other one has a perfect, really nice, delicate use of color. But see, if you start to combine them both, they actually work really well. Yeah, like a little bit more depth up in here, and it has the other kind of features that I was talking about in regards to that. So I don't know, Adam. I'd go somewhere in the middle of them both. Like, this is really nice, and I think it takes the best of both. That's my quickest fix. Let's just go to... I could not choose the final. Alright, let's just go through this. Okay. So see, this is what I'm talking about. This is like a really dark room, but you have some of the fill light that kind of just comes in just to kind of kill the black, because this design wouldn't look as cool if all these shadows were pure black. You fill it with a little bit of these cinematic effects.
The two references you got here, both of them actually, is that notice that although they're not entirely saturated pieces, if you look at the blue one on the bottom left corner, it's got that blue that overall global blue saturation to create that bit of a visual depth, but there is some kick to that color. And the same thing with the one just to the right of it, where you see the glow of the dragon's eyes, right? There is something, it's not, we don't have washed out colors in the background. Now, if you look at yours, your beast in the background has entirely washed out colors, desaturated everything, which kind of creates a bit of there's a lack of depth in that face. So you'd want to kind of bring those eyes back a bit.
Yeah, and get the eyes really sharp. They're way too soft and smoky. And
be careful with tangents
looking.
too. The eyes are touching the top of the head. You want to have the eyes up here, not touching the head, because that tangent creates a bit of a visual confusion too. Just as an observation, I would take that chin piece out of her costume, out of her space helmet, because it literally, from a distance, it literally I thought it was a monkey. I didn't realize that it was a girl. Yeah, I would just make it black so that the light would be on the face alone. It would give you more of that abyss, like the helmets in the abyss where it's lit inside. It would give it more of that look to it.
Yep. So watch the tangent. Watch some of your forms, and that's where it really gets lost, I think, for the beast. I think it's a little bit more clear with the forms in here. That I would just get back if you again decide to merge some of these, is to make this read as a form again, make some of these read really clear as a form, maybe get a little bit of rim light on that character, like if this is all warmer light in here, get a little bit of a cooler accent on the edges, because you have cool in the background, which could be used to fill some of this information in here, and you can see that all in here. See what I mean? There's always these cooler accents that define the forms in all these shadows. So just look at your existing references really well. You'll be on your way.
Nicely done it.
Yeah, that's a nice
Definitely
piece.
2 thumbs up for creativity there too. I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like how original that is, Kiko. Fantastic stuff.
All right, what do we got? All right. Classical
Wilson
fantasy.
Hendrick.
Naked female with dragon. Hey, if the recipe works, if the shoe fits, right? So I think first thing is, if you're going to do a nude woman, reference your anatomy. Get a picture of a nude woman because her obliques don't look like that, right? This is along the side. Her belly
No,
button's way
that's
too low. The belly button should line up with the bottom of the rib cage, just a little. Yeah,
right up. It should be
exactly.
like
And
up
her
here.
hip bone should be what's sticking out. She's not going to have that strong, ridge to her obliques. That's a bit heavy. Yeah, but I mean, as far as the arm, you definitely needed a reference there for sure. Some kind of a
Something more specific than
yeah.
these even.
And I think as far as the lighting on the dragon, especially on the dragon,
He's really
you
flat.
need some
in
of that
terms
volume
his
lighting
forms.
to get all around him.
You could see that even in this reference here. You could see like there's warm coming from that side, so it highlights all these forms. Then it's a little bit of fill light coming in from the top, and this side of him, the right side, is the darkest. But you could see if I had to break that down really easily in terms of its shapes, something like, and I'll blow this up now. You could see a lot of these clear cut shapes like that. That's a shape. This kind of comes up through the middle. This is a side in here. This is that's another side, and then this is a side in there, and then this is of course all top. But you can break apart the shapes really easily because of how it's lit. This is entirely flat through and through, and you need to okay, this is a shadow. This is getting highlighted. But the other part of the problem is too. This is almost too much of a direct interpretation of this one's design. And there's a lack of creativity with that. And you want to go back to the drawing and really refine and design and draw your own version of a dragon. Like this is, reference real creatures. Look up Terrell Witchlat and how she does it. This is just, you're doing an iteration on someone else's illustration or design, whatever this is. And that can be good to kind of monitor your own quality or quality control. But look at that at the end. Put this away. Look up real world creatures. Design your own dragon.
A trick you can do is reference multiple different dragons or different creatures and compile that to create something, right?
Yeah, because this is almost just way too literal.
Actually,
for
Tyler,
what this
I
is.
mentioned looking up references, and I see the anatomical references now on the right. Can we zoom into those just to see what the artist was referencing there? Okay, because I'm looking. Okay, yeah, you see the hip bone, her hand on the hip, but unfortunately her hand's covering her hip there. What you're probably looking at the muscular and the skinless anatomical reference and going a little bit too close to that. You can see on her the skin smooths out a lot of those forms, except for the hip, that overlapping hip, right? Yeah, there you go. You can see that. Fine.
Yeah, lighting is tricky because often with this type of work, you're going to need to get your anatomical references on one hand, and you're going to need to get a whole pile of lighting references and skin tone references on another plate, entirely. And the artistry comes in how you kind of interpret and take that information in and put it back onto the canvas. But that's largely what our jobs, are to do, is to take multiple unrelated references and combine them in a logical way so that it makes sense in our final product.
David Bowie said he was asked, "Do you ever?"
Sprinkle David Bowie.
He was asked, "Do you ever steal people's work?" And he goes, "I always steal people's work. I steal from many people, and I compile it together into my own thing, and then I add that last 10% is my little David Bowie magic. That's it. But everything else has been referenced from something else, right?"
I wanna sprinkle David Bowie magic on everything. Just sprinkle it on my chest.
Magic dance as you're eating your morning chips. I hear it.
Oh, whenever I need to have a goofy afternoon, me and my wife watch that song, and it lightens the mood up. It's magic dance. All right, this is cool. It's getting there.
Can I see the arm on that reference on the top left?
Yeah, that's what. It's definitely a bit of a deal right here.
I think she's got goiter in her left elbow. Let me see. Yeah, we're missing a bit of the reference is a bit low res, but you can see we're losing the angle. There's a bit of the elbow missing. So you created this round shape. It makes it looks a bit round and swollen, and that really jumps out at you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And always too, when you see a reference like that, exaggerate your drawing of it. Arch the back, just a little bit more. Tilt the head a little bit more. Have the arm coming out a little bit more. Always just exaggerate these things so that when you design, you'll have this elegant, gesture of a character. Because again, once you tighten things up and refine it, it'll get a little stiffer. It always does. Because this looks like way too stiff. Even though and that's because if it's an illustration, and that's because it's compared against other illustrations. This isn't compared to a photo. Photography, it's going to capture things in a very stiff way. It's going to always capture lighting in a very stiff way, and that's why it's, cinematography. That's why photography in general now is always fairly heavily edited to embellish and perfect reality to the best of our own artistic skills.
You've always got to push beyond the limits so that people feel it, right? Because if you just go just far enough, people aren't going to necessarily get the full impact of what you're trying to draw, for sure.
I like the design. I like where you're going with this. I still think you could definitely push. If we're looking at this as your reference, you could still be working up the highlights with that sheen on this. If this is kind of like that same type of material, you could definitely be getting a lot more of that in there, and then how you kind of push and pull those kind of affect different things.
What I would do too is you kind of have that kind of shiny, super shiny, metallic shiny pants is a very kind of almost it's got that what's the word I'm looking for, kind of the 1980s thing it's got a bit of the cheesiness to it a bit, which is cool. It's got a very Tarantino type of vibe, right? If you were going to take something like that, something that's a fashion that's very outdated fashion, which is funny. I don't know if that was your intention or not, but I would exaggerate that. Like just go all out and really like the
Adam. I was thinking of that before you said it. Really like design, like what he said. Design it. Go 100% all in. Give her the nice. Look up the ladies of wrestling. Look up Glow. See how they did their makeup, right? Which is a great special on Netflix right now. I definitely recommend it. But like everything else, like design these pants out. These are just it's just a flat texture. Like give it some nice, give it a pattern. Figure out how how this can work as like a graphic. Just clean that up and make this like you're designing the pants. You're not just making it. You're not just making it a texture. Give it some sweet graphics. I don't know. Oh, I did. I thought I made a new layer. Of course, I didn't. So again, I can get this on the eraser. Oh, come on! I didn't choose a pixel. I didn't choose an eraser. 5,000.
Okay.
Yeah, it's probably not going to erase. But see what I mean? Like design it out. Give it some cool graphics. Give it some cut lines. Add the lighting to the new material. Design up.
That's a good point Tyler's making. It's when you're designing things, you got to think of the vocabulary you're using in your head. And if you're designing pants, you got to ask if you're designing pants, you don't want your explanation. If somebody says, what is she wearing? You don't want to say she's wearing pants. She's wearing a specific type of pants for a specific type of situation. So the design process has to exist. Just putting pants isn't enough. You're not solving enough. You're not expressing enough in your image, and that's going to be boring, right? So you want those pants to have an identity, something that's been thought out, and that goes beyond the generic pant title, right? Same thing with the top, hair. Same idea.
Yep. Give the outfit a whole sense of design. Get in there and design how the different shading works, how the different shapes work for everything. It needs that level of design to it.
Is Lumiere. That's cute. I just caught I forgot for a moment. For a moment there, I forgot we were doing Beauty and the Beast. I just saw some Archer chick, and now I'm seeing she's actually transformed Lumiere into a possessed bow. That's pretty cool. I like that idea. I like
Gotta
the
work on the
expression too.
design.
You got her real kind of badass type of expression. That's cool. Yeah, same. See boots, just say boots.
Yeah.
BOOT. Period. You gotta go down there.
Yep, you gotta reference the boots. You gotta get 1 picture of boots, 2 pictures. You gotta get 5 pictures
Yeah.
of designed boots so you can apply that so they're not generic leather.
Yep. Yep.
But you're getting there.
Absolutely.
Keep it up.
All right. What do we got next?
So we'll be fine as long as I don't open my eraser tool again.
Yeah,
because then
that's true.
it's
Everything
else. Unless I could pick it and I could pick this, then this should work. I think I got around it. Okay, where are we? Here we go. I remember seeing this one on Instagram.
Staratin. Okay. Kara Staratin. All right. This is our last piece here. Okay. I didn't realize we got through them all already.
No, there might be one more. I don't know. I didn't
All
look.
right.
Okay,
Well,
here we go.
very ambitious.
So it seems that Belle is she's fleeing from the castle to probably go back home and get her father.
Right. Yeah, she's got the mirror. And the mirror's got like dancing figures running through it. That's
Dancing
interesting.
holograms.
Okay,
and stuff.
there's a lot going on in here. You got a bit more of a sci-fi feel to it, especially the design of the castle.
Yep.
All right.
Definitely a dynamic image. If you're going for something like this, it probably would make a bit of sense to just go all in and make it a bit of a Dutch angle. You know, if I were to copy and paste this, you know, that's where you have something that would make sense to have it kind of be at a slight, tilt like that. Very slight. You don't have to go crazy about it. See, that way you can put her up in the composition a bit more, and you're just not cropping out the bottom of her foot. And that will give everything, you know, a little bit more of that whole dynamic angle. And, you know, she's coming from this, and she's really on the run. So I would do that. I'm also there's still like we just talked about. A lot of this is still largely under designed. Like if particularly when you're doing sci-fi, and as Feng Zhu put it in some of his recent videos, sci-fi is a lot harder of a sell than fantasy and something historical because we've kind of have yet to be there.
Yeah.
We have to have it all make sense, and it's like it's almost like taking on more responsibility, and that we have to make us, the audience, me and Adam, the viewer, whoever, we have to sell this idea of being like a sci-fi structure, and I'm not sold on that yet. And I think that's because it takes a lot of work and a lot of refining and a lot probably more of specific references in regards to the structure and the detail to carry through this.
The other thing I would do here is in terms just two actually quick observations. Number one is remember that regardless of the fact that the environment takes up 14/15ths of the entire image, she takes up only a very small proportion of the image. Her face is the number one priority if we see it, right? And in this particular case, because we do see a character, she's facing us and she's got an expression. You want that expression to be engaging because that's going to describe the story. How do we feel? We feel the way she feels, right?
She doesn't feel concerned. She doesn't look tired. A very flat expression.
And you notice how you've placed her head where her head is creating a bit of a tangent and her hair is creating a tangent with the buildings. You want to place her head against a nice open surface so that there's a clear visibility of it. You don't want any visual clutter around her head. Okay? So
yeah, you want to probably have the design, have the castle kind of go outright out of it, carry around there. So this is all it's all designed for building, all up in here. Keep her nicely silhouetted. Then you can have other buildings or whatever kind of coming out and spires, on the side. But that's what I'm saying. Like, find your design language for your buildings and get very specific references. So rather than this being kind of like this cubic rectangle with a few lines in it, you give it just a little bit more of that sophistication. Look up construction. Look up Dubai. Look up a lot of those very modern... Look up Singapore. Look up modern design languages for buildings and just exaggerate them to get into the sci-fi realm. But again, it's getting the proper references and applying them and kind of like... It will add that level of sophistication that this really needs.
Absolutely. I mean, you've got a good sketch. It just needs that... It needs a little bit of polish and refinement. That's all. Clear things up and tweak your composition.
All right, everybody. So we're back, and we've decided on our favorites for this challenge. Over here, we have Martin Pez's illustration, our favorite illustration from this month, and then our favorite design from PJ Sirac. We thought both of these were fantastic. Top of their class for what they were going for, and our overall runner up here from Isaac. We couldn't ignore the absolute quality and the finesse that he put into this. I thought this was absolutely fantastic. So congrats, everybody. We were talking. I think that the overall largest challenge that I think people could benefit from the most is double checking your references, and don't be afraid to revise your ideas and your drawings. A few more times over.
But we were really, like I said at the beginning, when we opened up all these submissions, I mean, every week we get surprised at how nice this work is. So keep up this amazing work, guys, because you're all benefiting hugely from it. And it makes just more fun for everybody, right?
Yep. All right, awesome, guys. So Adam's got his mentorship. I have mine. I'm booking for kind of like November time frame. November, December, if you guys are interested.
Absolutely.
And I'm running 2 courses in design over at CGMA, and I'll be posting actually a follow-up video in a week or so, kind of promoting my new course in that. But I hope everybody's well, and I'll be back back sooner than later, hopefully, to do some more regular weekly videos. I have a child coming in 4 or 5 weeks, so yeah, I've been gearing up towards that, and just life gets in the way. Life happens, and I've been having to take a step back from doing regular videos to get some other things in order. But yeah, I'm still here. Come to the week, join the Hangouts, join the group in Google+. There'll be links below, and yeah, I'll post a new video in due time on the next challenge.
All right,
see you
guys.
then. Yay.